10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of JBC podcast. Today will be our third episode of the us covering the NFL. I'm joined here with Jacob,
How's it going, guys?
and I'm also joined here with Chris.
What up? What up?
So our first topic for today will be to recap some of the games from this week so far. As of right now, Miami and Pittsburgh are playing, and Miami is winning what, 14-0?
14-3.
14-3. Okay.
37 seconds left and before halftime.
So they might get their first win of the season tonight if all keeps going their way.
Mason Rudolph's playing like
Go.
Baker at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah, well, he just had a good pass, but it was a penalty. I don't know on who though.
So some games were quite surprising this weekend. I'll go ahead and start. One of my biggest ones that I saw was the Eagles beating the Bills 31-13. Carson Wentz had a good game. So did Jordan Howard, and Alshon Jeffrey looks like he got back on track as well with 4 receptions for 64 yards.
Yeah, it was a crazy game.
They look like the Eagles of whenever they won the championship. I'd say that game. That's what that score represents to me, what I saw.
Yeah.
And it was big for them to come back and get a win after just getting destroyed by the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was a good one for him. Definitely
Yeah.
needed that.
Jacob, what game surprised you probably the most?
Surprised me the most. I would kind of say that game because there weren't a whole lot of games that were necessarily surprising with the outcome. I do like the Eagles getting a dub, especially down in Buffalo. They big win. They needed that, especially after coming off the loss at the Cowboys. So that was a big win for them. Carson Wentz looked a lot better than he had in the past. He had a good drive to close out the half that actually put them up. They even got the 2-point conversion to put them up 11-7, I believe is what it was. And it was big because it was raining. And Buffalo's hard to play at. So it was definitely a good dub for them. Jordan Howard, I think, found a new home. I think the Bears didn't necessarily use him correctly, or maybe he just didn't fit that style of offense. But he's definitely him and Miles Sanders have definitely given the Eagles a little bit of a boost. And like you said, Alshon Jeffrey, he's kind of getting back to form. So I think the Eagles. I still think it's down to the Eagles and the Cowboys to see who wins that division. But
Yeah.
I think either one of them could. And the only other game was the Chargers got back on track with the dub. They went to Chicago and pulled one out, which was kind of funny because the way that they won was that the Bears missed a field goal at the end of the game. So I think that was giving nightmares to the Bears fans.
Oh, I bet so. I bet they're ready to fire him already.
But I mean, every other game outcome was as it should have been. So pretty standard week in the NFL, except for tonight. We got to keep a close eye on that game. But
Yep.
Chris, you got any input?
Yeah, I got some notes. One of the funniest games, or it's just like funny to me, was the Bears kicker missing that field goal.
Yep.
To give them the game winner. I think Bears are just cursed with kickers. I don't know what's up with them, but I think last year didn't the kicker miss like 2 field goals to win them the game, like 3 maybe.
I know
they missed quite a bit.
I know they missed the big one against the Eagles, but I think we got to check their kicking coach. It may be Alex Tejada. I think we got to.
Yeah.
They may need to get rid of their.
Can't be having him.
Yeah, but also I got the Browns, what kind of surprised me is really Nick Chubb. He's been doing good all year, but he fumbled the ball like twice. So that
Yeah.
really surprised me. And other than that, Baker Mayfield, making a dumb decision with a little, I guess they're doing a little reverse. And I don't think the Patriots kind of played sloppy that game. They didn't really, go as
They
good as
didn't
they
go off
usually.
on them.
No, which I was really surprised about that. I was also surprised kind of by the Raiders. The Texans barely beating the Raiders. I thought Texans was kind of gonna beat the Raiders by quite a bit, but Raiders
are
Raiders
respectable
are.
this season.
See, I think
Yeah.
I have Raiders. I think are kind of getting overlooked by opponents. Maybe they're kind of like one of those sleeper teams that you wouldn't think would be good since Antonio Brown left. Everyone say, well, they won't be good, and they're surprising everybody. Josh Jacobs doing a hell of a time over there.
Derek
Yeah.
Carr is on pace to set the record for completion percentage this year. He's
Yeah,
like 0.2 behind what Drew Brees set. So Raiders are
they're pretty
respectable.
good. Yeah, they. Also, I have the Kansas City. Matt Moore played pretty good. I think if he cleaned up a little bit on his completion percentage that game, it would have been a closer one. Well, actually, what was the score on that one?
It was 31-24.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but his completion he went 24 for 36, 267 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I mean, him being the Chiefs backup, I mean, he's not that bad. He helped them pretty good. The Packers are a good team. I think right there kind of gives the Packers a lot of momentum going against a 7 or 6-1 Packers team, and
Right.
barely losing, but without your star Patrick. And then last one is 49ers look dominant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They look
I was
like
gonna,
a
I
real
was gonna
deal
say
team.
that one if he didn't.
Oh
they look
yeah.
good.
They might put the Patriots or the other. They might put the Patriots up for money this year. They definitely have a good shot. Jimmy's doing really good. Defense is doing really good.
Defense is
They're,
elite.
they're kind of a surprising team for me this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew they were going to do good. I didn't know they were going to go 7-0, looking dominant good.
I don't think anybody really thought they would.
No, I mean, probably the only people who did was like the really good analysts and people who know NFL like to the T. But like
I don't
us,
think
no,
any
I
of
didn't
them.
think so.
I don't think any of them predicted them to start out 7-0.
No,
No.
but it's still pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, the Colts kind of surprised me at the Broncos only winning by 2, which was not a good win for the Colts, but I mean, it's a win. I didn't really watch that game, but
Well,
I don't know, man.
Joe
That's
Flacco's
just,
out, so we got Big Brandon Allen
oh
stepping
yeah,
into his first start ever. So that'll be
yeah.
interesting to
Jacoby
see.
didn't throw a touchdown. That's
Side note,
pretty
it's
crazy.
currently snowing outside, so that's lovely.
Ooh.
But yeah, that's about it. I mean, that's about it. All I had. I mean, Steelers right now struggling to the Miami.
Well,
Which,
At home.
I'll just say in that San Francisco game, Tevin Coleman actually had 3 rushing touchdowns and 105 yards.
Showing that he's not just the third down out of the
Yeah,
backfield back, so that was
they.
good.
I think in his time in Atlanta, he got overshadowed because of Devontae Freeman,
Yeah.
and he didn't get to really showcase his skills other than on third down.
Right.
That's that's the way I see it, and in the San Francisco offense, I think he fits that role pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, yeah, but I think the Panthers' big takeaway in that game was Kyle Allen. He threw 3 interceptions and didn't have 1 touchdown. But Christian McCaffrey still had 14 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown. So
Yep,
Christian
still-
McCaffrey is
he
doing
still did
good.
his thing.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was just poor passing or if 49ers defense just was covering so hard that he couldn't throw it.
I think
Yeah.
at one play, I don't know if you saw it, but it was ridiculous. Nick Bosa literally, first off, I believe he beat the tackle, so he got around the tackle, and then Kyle Allen went to just throw it like over his head just to dump it off, and he jumped up and like had like almost like a Russell Westbrook vertical getting up there, but basically just jumped up and snatched it out of the air and took off. So I think that defense
He's-
was just really making it hard on Kyle Allen. I think I don't know now that people are getting tape on Kyle Allen. I think his production's starting to dwindle. So it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see how they handle that quarterback situation because he started off hot, basically because not a lot of people had seen him. So that's usually how it goes for new quarterbacks anywhere. They're usually hot because you don't have film on them. But now that they got the film on him, he's starting to kind of hit that slope, starting to go downhill. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, they play they play the Tennessee Titans next week, so I'll be interested to see how he bounces back from this week.
Yeah, another good defense. So
Yeah.
So, is that about it for
Well,
games?
Saints look dominant with
guys?
Drew Brees coming right back. I mean, I know it was the Cardinals, but
I don't
Yeah.
know
He
if
was
that's
pretty
surprising,
dominant.
but it
Didn't
was good to
lose.
see him back.
I know.
Didn't lose a step.
No, and then Titans Buccaneers was a pretty good game.
Mike
Mhm.
Evans popping off. Put him on my bench in fantasy, and he's like, "Oh, really? Okay." And then pops off for me. Not that it would have mattered because I got smoked this week, but good to see him back in the mix. It's just Jameis Winston's just he's the most inconsistent quarterback. He could go off for 400 yards and 4 TDs, or he could throw for 180 with 4 picks. It's just like a
You never know.
you never know. It's just like they're just rolling dice and they're like crossing their fingers that it's the 404 TD game. But
Yeah, I just saw they just showed the Nick Bosa interception on the TV
it was
at
nice.
halftime, so it looked pretty nice.
It was nice.
But yeah, man, that's really about it. I mean, not really a big surprise, but Lions barely beat the Giants.
The Lions have been a weird team. They
looked pretty good at first.
They've had some tough losses.
Oh, and they went 0-3, didn't they? And then they went on a 3-game win streak.
They've had some tough losses. No, because they lost to
Yeah.
the Vikings.
Oh, never mind.
Let's see here. They won against they tied against the Cardinals, won against the Chargers, won against the Eagles, and then they lost 3 in a row to the Chiefs, Packers, and Vikings.
Yeah.
Well,
They lost by
geez.
1 to the Packers and 4 to the Chiefs.
They lost literally in the Chiefs game didn't go to OT, did it?
That's not the one I don't think they
No.
got screwed on.
No, the
No.
Packers is the one they got screwed on. The Chiefs game,
Yeah.
I was listening to it. I was actually grocery shopping, and the Chiefs were down, and of course Patrick Mahomes did his thing and came back and
Yeah,
led
it
him
didn't
to
go
like
in
a
overtime.
last second TD. So, I mean, all 3 of those losses were tough
Yeah.
losses. So they're solid.
Yeah.
They just have a hard schedule.
Yeah, that's what's.
I think at the beginning of the year, I don't think Stafford was having a good year either, was he?
Not. I mean, it was kind of like a mediocre. I mean, it wasn't nothing special, but he wasn't as productive as he could have been. But
He had a good first game, and then he threw 2 picks against the Chargers. He only threw for 200 yards against the Eagles.
it's just that the run game hasn't been as productive, so it's kind of hard to establish the pass just because Kerryon Johnson's kind of. I know now he's hurt, so he's on IR, but previous he wasn't doing as good as he was projected to do, and that kind of hurt Stafford's production just a little bit because, like
Well,
we were talking about, if you know what the
look-
offense is trying to do.
Looking at these games, I don't think Stafford is their problem because he's thrown for 16 touchdowns, 2,093 yards, and only thrown 4 picks, and he has a 70.7 QBR, which is 5th in the league.
No, it's
don't
not his
think
fault. It's the
the problem.
defense. It's the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, their rushing game needs some work. I mean, their highest rushing leader against the Giants was Troy Carson, and he only rushed for 34 yards on 12 carries.
Yeah, they with Kerryon out, they have 2 backs that they've been using, and the production's just not there. So they gotta find a new image and just basically sort out what they can in the run game to get that established because it's hard to win in the NFL when you're one-dimensional.
I think
Yeah.
they could be a decent team. If they just never have everything going their way.
Their receivers, they
No.
got good receivers. I mean, Danny Amendola,
Yeah.
Marvin Jones Jr., Kenny Galladay, with good
Yeah.
tight end T.J. Hawkinson. And
Yeah.
before Kerryon got hurt, it was Kerryon in the backfield with Stafford at quarterback. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, what
They
more
had
would
a
you want on
great
offense?
offense.
So, I think their defense needs a little bit of work. I mean, it was a good signing with Trey Flowers. He's been good for them. So they just need to piece it together just a wee bit more. I don't know if you can do that through signings on the defense side of the ball, draft, but they're just like you said. I think they just they just haven't put everything together and clicked just quite yet. So
Yeah. Hey, another surprising game we didn't talk about was Seahawks beating the Falcons by 7. And
Yeah, it was
Falcons
a
did not
close
have
game.
Matty Ice.
yeah,
Which
but they
was,
still have Julio and Calvin. So
well, Julio hasn't scored in like a couple games, I don't think.
I think he's just pissed. Just get me out of here.
Julio?
Yeah,
Yeah.
get me out of here.
Yeah, but it's still pretty crazy. I mean, it's
Give
crazy
me
that Seahawks
Tom.
only won by
Give
7.
me Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he
Yeah,
still
well, I
had
guess-
152 yards, so
Yeah. He didn't score. Actually, the only receiver that scored was Austin Hopper.
Hooper.
Yeah, Hooper. I don't know. I said Hopper. Yeah. I was thinking of,
Stranger Things.
yeah. Hey, Russell Gage. Okay. Man, they play a lot of receiver.
Matt
All right.
Schaub coming in,
I know.
doing his
Yeah.
thing.
460 on him.
460 on the Seahawks D. Golly.
Straight
pretty
burning
crazy.
them.
Do your thing, young buck. I guess I should say old buck. But yeah.
Yep. Well, it looks like it's all the games this happening or already happened.
Yep. All the sort of big ones.
Yeah.
So we want to move into our top NFC and AFC teams.
Yeah, we can.
We can.
All right. We'll start with you, Chris.
All right. For my NFC, I'm gonna have to go with number 1, the 49ers, just because they look dominant. Their defense is dominant. They look dangerous. It'll be pretty good to see how far they get, and they might win it all. My number 2 is the Saints. I think with Teddy Bridgewater winning all those games, 5 games, I think that helped out the Saints' confidence a lot and helped them where they didn't think they were going to be, because I think they really thought with Teddy coming in they were only going to win like 2 or 3 games, and Teddy ended up winning all 5. And now Drew Brees comes back. Drew Brees looked good. So I don't think Saints really slowing down. My number 3 is Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers doing really good. I think Saints defense just is a little bit better than Green Bay's. So I think that helps the Saints out. So it's really close for the 2 and 3, because you can switch those. There's both look, they both look really good. My number 4 is actually the Vikings. Them and the Seahawks are basically kind of tied, but Vikings defense is this year they only allowed 132 points, and the Seahawks has allowed 196. So I gave it to the Vikings.
Points?
And then my number,
in total?
Yeah, points
Okay.
allowed total. Yeah,
Okay, I was about to say.
points
Per game?
allowed. Yeah, and then the points they get or points they have total is 211. The Vikings do, and then Seahawks have 209. So their offense is pretty much similar, but I give it to Vikings for having a little bit better defense. And then my number 6 team is going to be the Rams. I mean, it was kind of hard, but I think they're still a talented team, so I can't really count them out. Yeah, so they're gonna be they're probably my number 6. Wait, let me look real quick. Yeah, they're 5 and 3, and there was really no other team. I mean, you could probably put the Cowboys or Eagles, but the way Cowboys has kind of been playing, I don't know. Which they had a dominant win last week, so that was really good. Or this past week, and that was really good.
I think
For
you
my
have to
AFC,
put either the
Wow.
Cowboys or Eagles, right? Because that'd be a division.
Well,
Well,
when
yeah.
we were thinking of our list, Jacob, we weren't thinking about playoff.
Oh,
We were
you're just
just thinking
top six
top
teams.
6 teams.
But
Yeah.
okay, if I
That's
was
fair.
gonna do playoffs, if I was gonna do playoffs, I would put Cowboys for the Rams.
Okay.
I
Okay. No,
think they're better.
that's
I
cool.
know that's
I still think the Cowboys are better than the Rams, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, your opinion don't matter to me, bro.
Cool.
But okay, for my AFC, my number one team is obviously Patriots. They're undefeated. Tom Brady looks good. A couple games he's struggled in, but it's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. They can look really bad, but they always, do their thing when it comes time. My number two team is the Chiefs. They weren't going to be number two, but Patrick Mahomes is really good. And I think with the backup quarterback doing as good as he did last game, I still think they're still number two team. I think he can hold his own. And then when Patrick Mahomes comes back, I think he can get it done, finished. My number three team is the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson's doing really good. And they put up a lot of points. Now the Colts also are my number four, but the only thing why I put them down lower because their defense is pretty much where it's at. Ravens giving up 156 and Colts giving up 151. But the Ravens put up 214 and Colts have only put 158. So that's where my deciding factor went to there. And then my number five team would be the Bills. I think they have a good defense. I think their offense is not like not really bad, but I think it could be a little bit better. But their defense is basically what holds them, and defense wins championships. Which I'm not saying they're going to win, but I like defense teams. That's why I'm an SEC fan. And then my number six team would be the Raiders. Wait, no, yeah, the Raiders. Texans are good, but now since JJ Watt is out, I feel like their defense is going to has a big part of them missing. So I think it could change. It just depends on how they come without him. If he was still in, they would have been at six. But JJ Watt is a really good defensive player, and he's a big leader and a big captain for him. I still think he'll be a big leader, but I don't know who the backup is, and I don't know if he's as good as JJ Watt or close to him. So
Well, remember they traded away Jadeveon Clowney, correct?
yeah,
So
they're
really
so,
missing. I don't. That's a big chip. That's a
yeah.
big missing from that defense. So
So yeah, that was my deciding factor on it. Plus Raiders offense is doing pretty good. They're doing really good actually, exceeding what I thought it would. And so yep, that's my top six on each.
All right. I guess I'll go next. Let's go across the board here.
all right.
All right. For NFC, my number one is the 49ers. I mean, it's pretty much exactly what Chris said. They've looked pretty dominant all year on both sides of the ball. Jimmy Garoppolo, just having an amazing season. Um, they're probably also going to get their run game started up probably in the back half of the season with Tevin Coleman as well, leading that pack. George Kittle, uh, Marquise Goodwin. Is that right?
Yep.
Marquise Goodwin as well. Two excellent receivers for them. And then on defense, you've got Richard Sherman, of course, and who else could argue Nick Bosa has played outstanding this year as well for them. And I believe they deserve the number one spot, and they should be undefeated the way they played. Number two team, I'm putting the Saints, which I know in the last episode I think I said that the Seahawks were going to beat the Saints or something like that, or that the Seahawks were a better team.
Yeah.
It was mostly because I didn't think Teddy Bridgewater was going to get it done, but he won all 5 games, right?
Yep. 5-0.
Yep.
He won all 5 games and looked just great in that offense. Allow them to victory every weekend. And with Drew Brees back now, I don't see him slowing down at all. And they've actually had some good performances from their defense, I think, week in, week out as well.
Yep.
Which is pretty rare for a Saints team, I think.
Well, they always had a good defense.
They
They
sucked at the
do,
beginning of
but
this year.
they also give up a lot of points, it seems like. Or in years past they have.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of a toss up between the Saints and the Packers for second spot. I put the Saints ahead just because they're gonna have Drew Brees back, and I don't know. I think they've got more momentum than the Packers do, even though the Packers are coming off, some Aaron Rodgers like MVP status games, just straight up dominating the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay always will have that potential to pass the Saints, I feel, just because they still don't have Devontae Adams back. But they're also getting good production out of Aaron Jones in the backfield. Aaron Jones is actually being used a whole lot more. I think this weekend he had like 40 points in fantasy, which is just ridiculous. And that's kind of how it's been all year. He's been utilized more of a receiver than he ever has been.
Right.
All right.
Let's see here. I put Seahawks at 4. I don't know. That was tough for me because I always think of the Seahawks as a great team led by Russell Wilson, and this year Russell Wilson has been insane just like Aaron Rodgers have. He's definitely an MVP candidate with Aaron Rodgers this year. But I don't know. They just don't feel like a top NFC team. They don't feel like a top 3 team whenever you look at them.
All right, that's fair.
Number 5, I've got the Vikings. The Vikings had a slow start to the year, and they could also trend up and pass some of these other teams, I think, if they lose. That's the biggest thing. If these other teams lose, the Vikings could push up because the Vikings with Kirk Cousins has shown at the beginning of the year that he wasn't getting Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen the ball.
Yeah.
And Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen kind of, called him out on it, wanted traded, all this, yah. And then I guess Kirk Cousins just pulled his head out of his butt and started throwing to him.
Yeah.
And they're winning some games
It's kind of like the
as well.
Lions too. That offense
Yeah.
should be lethal, and they should be, doing their thing. And I think they have flipped a switch. So I agree.
Yeah. They've won 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
So they're definitely headed in the right track. They'll have the Chiefs next week.
Should be a good one.
Yeah. But like I said, they've got the potential to jump some of these other teams in the NFC if they lose. They just got to keep winning.
Right.
Dalvin Cook been incredible this year for him. Not having an injured season.
Yeah.
That's all I really got to say about the Vikings, I guess. I mean, Stephon Diggs did his thing whenever he gets the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. You gotta get Stephon Diggs the ball. You gotta get your biggest playmakers involved. And I think they learned that. I think it was after the Bears loss. I
Yeah.
think that's whenever all that happened.
Okay.
And then my number 6 pick, I'm going with the Cowboys. In reference to Chris's list, I think the Cowboys are a little bit better team right now than the Rams, just because, yeah, the Rams have more talent, but it's hard. Both teams, I believe, are underperforming.
Yeah.
I think the Rams and Cowboys should be top teams in the NFC,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're underperforming as bad as the Rams. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
Okay.
And they just had a pretty dominant win against the Eagles.
All right.
And in the AFC, I mean, you've got to put the Patriots number one. I mean, their defense has played outstanding. They're still trying to work out some kinks on their offense. Their offense just hasn't been quite there all year, or at least what I've seen.
Tom's been struggling a wee bit, low key.
Yeah.
He's of course, I guess he doesn't necessarily have to do a whole lot with that defense, but
No.
we'll
Uh,
see.
I put Jacoby Brissett in the Colts at number 2. Jacoby Brissett's just been incredible all year. I mean, I don't think any of us were thinking about the Colts being a top team in the AFC when Andrew Luck isn't their quarterback.
No, yeah, I for sure didn't see this, but I guess a Patriots quarterback, it's hard to beat because Jimmy G doing his thing too. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
but it was surprising.
Number 3, I've got the Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson's having him an outstanding year, just in complete control of the offense. He wants to pass. There you go. If he wants to run, he's off to the races.
Mm-hmm.
Just silencing everybody that said that he was supposed to just be a wide receiver in the NFL is showing that
back.
he can pass the ball or a running back.
Yeah.
And I didn't drop the Bills down very much for losing, but I don't know. I think the Bills are still a great team with hang on. I think the Bills are still a great team even though their biggest matchups were the Patriots and the Eagles, really, when you look at it. They only lost by 6 to the Patriots even though they got demolished by the Eagles. I don't know. I like Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a good start, I think, to the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's completing 60% of his passes, even though he's thrown 7 picks. I think towards the back end of the season, I think he'll get it right, and they'll be a playoff team. It'll be the
Alright.
first time in a while for the Bills, I think.
Yeah.
Frank Gore, Mr. 40-year-old, leading them in rushing yards with 422.
Still a beast,
I
man.
I just think that's hilarious.
Old man Gore.
And John Brown having himself a season,
Mm-hmm.
527 yards, 2 TDs. That's the only thing that I'd probably say, looking at the numbers and everything for the Bills. It looks like they need to target John Brown and Cole Beasley some more.
Yeah.
Forget that he's on there.
Yeah. I know they signed him to a decent sized contract, and he hasn't been utilized
No.
very much. That offense is the only thing that's keeping them from winning games. The 2 games that they lost, it was because their offense was stagnant and they just got shut down. And their defense
Yeah.
is no question one of the top in the league, but if they're not producing points, it's hard to win ball games.
It don't matter.
So it'll be interesting. Of course, they're young, except for Frank. So it'll be. They do have a rookie running back, Singletary, I believe, out of.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Where is he out of? I
Devin
forget. Yeah,
Devin Singletary. He is.
I wanted
Let's
to
see
say
here
like
if I can find it.
Houston or like Memphis or something, but I think that's wrong.
And my ESPN's not loading.
But while you look at that, I think they're a young squad, so they definitely show some promise. Be good to
I
see.
think my deal froze whenever you were saying that. Did you find out where he was from?
Uh-uh.
He was a. He's from FAU.
FAU. So
Yeah.
that's Lane Kiffin's squad, right?
Huh?
That's
What?
Lane Kiffin's squad, right?
From where?
Florida Atlantic.
Oh, that guy left. Oh, there he is.
No. Okay. Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
I think that's Lane
Or
Kiffin.
are they
Yeah, that's Lane
FI?
Kiffin. Yeah, that's Lane Kiffin.
Okay. He was taken in the 3rd round, pick 74. He hasn't really from his yards and attempts, he hasn't really been utilized that much, but he's had some good yards whenever he does get the ball. He's got 20 attempts for 172 yards and a touchdown, which averages out to 8.6 yards per rush.
He's got a good
Yeah.
mentor, so
Yep. One of the oldest ones in there. Number 5, I went with the Chiefs. I dropped the Chiefs down just because they're when Mahomes gets back, the Chiefs will probably move back up, but for now, they're losing some games without Mahomes. So,
yeah.
I took them down just because Mahomes is out. But whenever Mahomes comes back, they could move all the way up, probably to number 2 or number 3, I'm
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
And then number 6, the Texans, even though they don't have Jadeveon Clowney or JJ Watt the rest of the year, I still think that their offense is going to be able to win them games. That offense should be enough reason to get them some wins and possibly make the playoffs.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
That's all.
Yep.
That's
I-
everything.
For my NFC, the only thing I really have difference, I'm switching the Saints and the 49ers. I think the Saints are the number 1 squad. Reason being is because they have their guy back in Drew Brees. Teddy went 5-0 as a starter. That always helps. And their only loss was at the Rams when Drew Brees got hurt. So they were basically, and they
They
kind of
got gypped that
I
game.
was about to say they kind of got gypped. They that Cam Jordan ran back that 80-yard fumble recovery, which they blew the whistle dead, and it turned out to be a fumble. Something about the refs and the Saints, I don't know what it is, but they got gypped on that, so they could easily be 8-0. So I got the Saints at 1, and reason number 2 is because the schedule remaining. The Saints kind of have an easy schedule to finish out, which is always nice. And the 49ers have a tough schedule, and their first games, similar to the Patriots, have been to they've beaten a lot of teams that aren't necessarily very good. I will say the destruction of the Panthers was a big blowout, big win, but they played the Redskins, the Browns, the Rams, the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Bucks. So not a whole lot of good teams in that mix. But then they have to play the Seahawks twice. They have to play the Packers, at the Ravens, at the Saints, and the Rams. So their remaining schedule is pretty tough. They could easily slip up 2, 3, maybe even 4 of those games. But I'm not saying they won't. They could very easily finish out the year undefeated. But that's the reason I had the Saints above, just because they got Drew Brees back. Alvin Kamara's coming back next week. I think that offense is more talented than the 49ers. So
Tavius Murray did really good without
yeah,
Alvin Kamara.
yeah, he popped off. So that's what I have. But I think it's 1A, 1B, and 1C low key between the Saints, 49ers, and Packers. Just because the Packers offense is starting to click. Aaron Jones, even with Devontae Adams out, they're kind of using Aaron Jones in a similar role when it comes to like little bubble screens. Like I was watching a recap of the 49ers past couple games, and they would split Aaron Jones out where Devontae would be, and he would basically run the same little bubble screens. So I think that offense is lethal, and their defense is actually pretty good this year without Clay Matthews. So I think any 3 of those teams could win, but I have the Saints edging out, and then 49ers, then the Packers.
Okay.
The Seahawks, I still think are a good team. Russell's he's up there in the MVP race, so it's hard to count him out. Their defense is just, I wouldn't even necessarily say underperforming. They're just slacking a bit, and I think they need to wake up. I think not saying. I mean, I still think that Teddy's a great quarterback. Like I still think that he could start on just about any other team. But to get beat by the Saints with a backup QB, I think that should wake them up a bit. And then the Vikings at 5, I actually think that they could climb the rankings simply because of that offense. That offense is like if Kirk Cousins is distributing the ball accurately, which his QBR is top of the league, the weapons that he has in Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen and Irv Smith, Diggs, like even Kyle Rudolph, the weapons that he has at his disposal are elite. So I low key think that the Vikings now they're gonna have to they're gonna have to play hard. They're gonna have to be pretty much near perfect, but looking out at their remaining schedule is the only thing that I see that keeps them, because they got to play the Packers, at the Cowboys, at the Seahawks, and the Bears, so they have a tough schedule. But I still think it's possible. And then I'll agree with Brody with Cowboys at 6, just because I think the Cowboys defense, which is weird because if you look at all the pieces on the Rams defense, they should have one of the best defenses in the league. Like the
Yeah,
amount
they're
of Pro
stacked.
Bowlers on their defense, and they just acquired Jalen Ramsey, probably the best corner in the league. I mean, Stephon Gilmore is an absolute unit. Patrick Peterson still does his thing, but Jalen's top 3 corner, no doubt. So that defense should be holding opponents to 14 under. They should be like the Pats defense, and
Yeah.
they just aren't clicking. I don't know if it's egos, whatever it is. And their offense has been really not embarrassing, but for the Rams, they're embarrassing a little bit just because they're not putting up what they did last year. And I mean, you got Brandon Cooks, you got Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Todd Gurley. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a play calling, execution, but I think the Cowboys have a slight edge over them. And so for my AFC, no argument. Pats number 1. Granted, they haven't played anybody, so that's why they're 8-0. Their defense is so good because they haven't played anybody. All the quarterbacks that they played are horrible. I actually have the Ravens at 2. I just like their defense, and I like what Lamar's doing. Their offense is explosive. I got the Colts at 3. Jacoby doing his thing. T.Y. Hilton's still one of the top receivers in the league, and Marlon Mack's having a solid season so far. I slipped the Colts down just because of their loss, and without Pat Mahomes, it's tough to keep them up there. But as soon as they get him back, they'll probably jump right back up to 2 in my eyes. And then I got the Texans and the Bills to round it out. I think the Texans have a great offense. I think if they had a better offensive line, they would be one of the best offenses in the league. Just because Deshaun's insane. They got D-Hop. Will Fuller's a pretty much guaranteed touchdown every time he runs a go route with that dynamic speed, and they picked up Kenny Stills. So I think their offense is good. They just need a better line, but losing J.J. Watt definitely hurts. That definitely is a killer. So they're really gonna have to step up. And I think if I remember, they've been plagued with injuries. I think both their safeties and their backup and their starting corner and backup corner were out last game against the Raiders. So that's why they were kind of struggling. So they've been plagued by injuries. So that's why I have them slipping down to 5. And then the Bills, even though they got waxed at home, I think it's just because of that offense. If their offense can somewhat or somehow find a way to click, I think they're a much better team. And I still agree that I think that, in the upcoming seasons, whether it be next year or a couple years down the road, they're really young. So I think if they keep the pieces and just, stick together, I think they have a recipe for success. I think they're on the right track. I think they found their quarterback in Josh Allen. He could run. He's got a strong arm. They got Devin Singletary behind Frank Gore getting mentored, and they got some good receivers, and that defense is elite. So I think they have the recipe. I just think they're not clicking just quite yet. So, but I still think they're a top 6 team in the AFC. So that's my list. But granted,
It's
we're
kind of
about halfway.
crazy because we're almost the same on the NFC, and then the AFC. After the
Yep.
first, we're everywhere.
We got Chiefs going everywhere.
We got Ravens kind of close. We got the Colts kind of close. We got the Bills kind of close. I'm the only one who don't have the Texans, and y'all don't have the Ravens. That's pretty crazy, though.
It's good
Yeah.
to have differences.
I mean, yeah, I know, but it's. I mean,
just to
yeah,
see
we
what's
all
going
have our
on.
own points. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, hey, there was also 2 trades that
Yeah.
we didn't put in.
Leonard
Um,
Williams.
You want to go, Brody?
Yeah, you have that pulled up.
I've got it all wrote down here in my notes.
Okay,
All right,
cool.
let us know what happened.
So which one do y'all want first? The Kenyon Drake or Leonard Williams?
Let's go with Drake.
Okay. So Kenyon Drake was traded to the Cardinals for a 6th-round pick that can become a 5th-round pick, determining, I think, if he signs an extension.
Yeah.
I think it didn't say that on ESPN. It just said if conditions were met.
Yeah.
But I think that's what that meant. So what this means for Miami, what I was seeing on ESPN, is this is going to be an aggressive offseason for Miami, because after this trade, they're going to have 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 2 more expected picks that they should have, as well as their own pick, which is projected to be first overall.
Right.
And this season, they've traded Laramie Tunsil, Kenny Steele, Minka Fitzpatrick, Kiko Alonso, and Drake, and that's over the past 2 months. So,
I forget
Jacob,
they traded away Kiko.
what do you think about this trade?
I think it's neutral in both cases, just because the Cardinals lost Chase Edmonds and David Johnson's still injury prone. I mean, he's still out, so they needed a running back, and the Dolphins already suck. So, I mean, it's not a huge hit for them because it's not like Kenyon Drake was putting up 8 rushing touchdowns a game. So, I think the Cardinals did what they had to do. They're also rebuilding, so it was a cheap back that they could get, and he's still relatively young. So I mean, he could potentially be like when David comes back or when Chase comes back, he could still be that third down back. I mean, he's good out of the backfield. He can
Yeah.
catch. So I think it's a good trade for the Cardinals, and even if it doesn't work out, it was a 6th-round pick, so not too bad not too huge of a loss. And then for the Dolphins, I think it will be an aggressive offseason, but they're going to have to hit. Like, they're either going to have to hit on their picks or they're going to have to hit on their trades. And
Yeah.
if they don't, they're screwed, because they have literally traded away just about every good asset. Like, their best receiver gone, their best offensive lineman gone, one of their best or 2 of their best defenders gone. And now they traded their best running back. So literally they're starting from scratch, they're rebuilding, but they have to hit. If they don't hit, then they're going to be bad for a long time. So they're going to have to make some big time splashes. I think they need to develop Josh Rosen, because I don't think Fitzmagic's the answer. Rosen's young, and he hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities. So I think you need to develop him, stick with him, or use your 1st-round pick to draft Tua or Justin Herbert or, Joe. I mean, take a quarterback, and then you're going to have to probably take a running back or trade for a running back. But they're going to either have to hit their draft picks or they're going to have to hit with these trades. So it's just, I don't know. The Dolphins are just a dumpster fire of a program at this moment, or at this current moment. So the trade wasn't necessarily an L for either team. It was probably more of a dub for the Cardinals, just because they needed a running back. But there's really nothing more to it.
All right, Chris, what's your input on this trade?
Kenyon Drake this year he had 47 attempts for 174 yards, 0 touchdowns. So I think they had another back. I think Cardinals, like Jacob said, got the if there was a win or a loss team, they got a dub from Drake. Drake's not a bad running back. I mean, I don't think he's too bad, but Dolphins, they got an offensive line, nor do they have a passing game.
Yeah.
So they can't really help him out. So I think for Drake's rest of his career, I think it was. I bet he's happy. I bet he's not saying anything bad about Dolphins, but he's happy that he can possibly have a future up there at being like a second back, like being more of a catching back because I think he catches a lot of balls, like like a passing back, so like a receiver back. So I think that helps out the Cardinals a lot. And yeah, Dolphins are declining. They need to find somebody and somebody to save them. So that's all. That's really it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So, what I think is, yeah, I believe the Cardinals won this trade, but at the same time, the Dolphins are stockpiling these picks, and theirs is projected first. They could use some of these first round picks to go and trade for a better running back
Mm-hmm.
or get some better defensive players, I bet.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
that's
they
what
could
I
be.
see. That's
They
what I
could,
see.
they could be stockpiling, like you said, and just gonna pull some big trades that we don't know that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We're gonna be surprised, and so that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. They could definitely use those picks to get some other people because I don't know if they want to use all those for the draft.
No.
Yeah.
That'd just
No.
be hard.
Yeah.
You would, like you said, Jacob, you'd have to hit on all those picks,
Mm-hmm.
and that's almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
you can't hit on everything.
Yep.
So the other trade that we've got was Leonard Williams. He was traded to the Giants for a third round pick in 2020 and a fifth round pick in 2021. And that pick can become a fourth if he signs an extension before the start of the 2021 league year. So we'll start with Chris this time. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I looked at his stats, and it seemed like after his first 2 years, it seemed like he's just been declining a little bit. Hasn't been playing up to where he did his first couple years. Uh, this year so far, he has 20 combined tackles with 12 assists. That isn't too bad. 0 sacks. I mean, he's a defensive end. That's 0 sacks. I mean, you should at least have one, maybe. But I mean, I don't watch a lot of tape of him, so I can't really. I don't know how he plays. But his first couple years, like I said, he did really good. And then it just seems like every year he just gets less and less. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Giants could use him.
Yeah.
I think Giants could use a defensive team, get some defense players. So I think he'll be a big help to the Giants. So that's really all my take on it. That's not a lot.
Okay. What do you think, Jacob?
I think it's a good trade for the Giants. I think their defensive lines where they lack. I think
More than
Leonard.
offense.
No, on the defensive side, like
Oh, okay.
that's where they lack. I think Leonard Williams. I do think he. I mean, obviously, it's apparent that after his first 2 seasons, of course, he was drafted in 2015, so he's only been in the league for 4. But his first 2 seasons, coming in as a rookie and then a sophomore, he produced and he was good. He was the 6th overall pick in 2015. So, I mean, he's a
Yeah.
stud. But I think Quinnen Williams, which is odd because he's the rookie out of Alabama. I feel like I don't know if it's confidence or what's going on with the Jets, but he was underperforming the past 2 years, and the Jets are getting younger on defense, and they have a good defense. They just need to. I think it's more of the offense that's the problem with the Jets, just because the defense is on the field constantly because Sam Darnold's throwing to ghosts. But enough talking about the Jets. I think it's a good trade for the Giants. I think they're getting a good young piece, defensive end, to kind of help with some pass rush. I think the Giants have a chance to, kind of shape his game. Give him it'll be a refreshing start. So I think he has an opportunity to turn his game around. He's still young, so he's got plenty of time left, barring injuries. So I think he has a chance to be a good star in the league on the defensive side of the ball. We'll just we'll just have to see how the Giants develop him and how he comes out at the end of the season. I would be willing to bet he signs an extension with the Giants. That would be my guess if I had to bet money. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys too. I think even though he has young and kind of had he's kind of declined a little bit, I think he could probably step up being on the Giants, kind of getting him a fresh start like you said, Jacob. As of right now, I think the Giants kind of won this just because of the decline. But over time, I think when you go back and look at it, I think the Giants will probably win this because I think Larry Williams will start stepping this game up.
Yeah.
Only way that they don't win the trade is if one, they package those picks for a stud, or they hit a gem in the draft like an
Like a sleeper?
underrated, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of
that's
crazy.
yeah.
Someone falling down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got those two trades out of the way. We have anything else for those?
No, I mean, trade deadline's about to be here, so next episode we'll have a lot. We'll probably have more than 2 trades.
Tom Brady
Yep.
leaving the Pats.
No, he ain't gonna leave.
Clickbait.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
You heard it right here. I'm signing it.
All right. So are we getting into some of our awards?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, sounds good.
Okay. All right. We'll go left to right here.
Alright.
Chris, you're starting.
So my MVP race is gonna consist of my number 1 is gonna be Russell Wilson. I think he's having an outstanding outstanding year. Again, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks right now. We're having him and Rodgers, which I didn't throw Rodgers in there, but I'm actually going to throw Rodgers in there too. I also have Watson in there because I think he's doing really good. And I also have Patrick Mahomes, depending on how he comes or when he comes back. And, if he comes back strong, I think he still has a chance to win it. He's a really good quarterback, so I don't see why not. Defense player of the year is going to be Aaron Darnold. He's insanely good. He has 25 combined tackles with 8 assists. He's with the Rams right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so he's having a really good year. So I think, he's one of the best defense players. My offense player of the year is probably going to be I'm kind of in the mix between Russell Wilson and Christian McCaffrey. I think Russell, he's like I said in the MVP race, he's doing really good. I think Christian McCaffrey's having one of his best years this year, and I don't see him slowing down. He did well on the last game; they kind of struggled, but he did what he usually does. So that kind of made me think he's, I can kind of see him maybe sneaking in MVP, but again, like the Heisman, it's an MVP. It's usually a trophy, so that's gonna be like good to see on that. My offense rookie of the year, I'm gonna put Josh Jacobs. I think so far he has 124 attempts for 620 yards and 4 touchdowns. So that's pretty good for a rookie running back. Definitely at the Raiders. With the other guy, as I'm probably gonna say his last name wrong, but Terry McLaurin or whatever.
McLaurin.
McLaren.
He has 28 receptions for 458 yards and 5 touchdowns. And they're kind of struggling with the quarterback, and he's still putting up those numbers. So that's actually crazy to see. My defensive rookie of the year is obviously Nick Bosa or whatever.
We were teammates in college, if I remember correctly.
Do what?
So I'm pretty sure those guys are teammates in college.
Nick Bosa?
Yeah, they both play for Ohio State.
Wait, what? I'm confused now.
I said they were Terry and Nick were teammates in college.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I don't remember where Terry came out of,
Ohio
but he
State.
has 20 combined tackles with 7 sacks and interception. So it's pretty good. My coach of the year is Kyle from the 49ers. Shanahan, I think. I don't know.
Hey, there you go.
It's close, but I think going undefeated right now. It's pretty crazy. So I think he deserves it. If they go undefeated, make the playoffs, still undefeated, I think he's a coach that definitely deserves it. Then my comeback player of the year is Jimmy, and Le'Veon Bell, just because Le'Veon was out all last year, and he's not putting up the Le'Veon numbers, but he's definitely a big factor to the Jets. And without him, I don't even think they would have won their one game, or that one game they won. But Jimmy's doing good. Jimmy obviously 7-0. Last year, he did pretty good last year, but right now he's doing really dominant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all my awards I got.
Okay. So in my MVP, I've got Christian McCaffrey at number 1. The biggest reason why to me is whenever I think of most valuable player, I'm thinking along the lines of who is going to be able to possibly win you a game every single time you step out on the field. And to me, Christian McCaffrey is that guy. He can do anything every other running back in the league can do, and he can also receive just as good as any other running back. And he's a great blocker as well if he needs to block. And I know Kyle Allen's had a great year, but I think McCaffrey's been the biggest part of why the Panthers are still getting wins. Russell Wilson is my number 2. I believe that he's had an outstanding year, one of his better years. He never really has a bad year, but this one has been incredible. But I'm putting him at number 2 right now. I just believe McCaffrey is a little bit more valuable than Russell Wilson. And then Aaron Rodgers, I've got number 3. He's also having a great year, especially the past couple weeks. I think he had 5 touchdowns last week, or 4, 5 or 4, and then he threw for 3 for sure this weekend. And his odds are getting better and better every week. But as of right now, I've got him at number 3. My defensive player of the year, I'm putting Nick Bosa. I'm going with the rookie. 16 solos, 7 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 pick. He's just destroyed all year.
Mm-hmm.
He's just looked invincible.
Yep.
Offensive player of the year. I know it's kind of been a quarterback award and everything, but I'll take McCaffrey as well for that. I think when you go back and look at all the yardage and everything that he's been able to get over the year, I think he deserves to be offensive player of the year, at least. Offensive rookie of the year, I've also got Josh Jacobs. He's had an incredible year, especially for being on the Raiders. The Raiders are always kind of a may be good, may not, never really know. But he's been a pretty big part of the offense this year. Defensive rookie of the year is Nick Bosa. There's nobody else you could really pick from. Coach of the year, Kyle Shanahan. I don't see that award going to anybody else. Comeback player of the year, I actually went with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has been pretty dominant this year. And looking back to last year, he only had 40 receptions on 55 targets. This year, he's had 58 receptions on 87 targets. And yardage-wise, last year he had 566 compared to this year he's got 792. He had 6 touchdowns last year, and this year he's already got 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was also hurt last year, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, putting up these numbers and everything coming off injury, I believe he deserves to be comeback player of the year because he just dominates every week.
Facts.
All right.
All right, so mine.
Yeah.
Okay. My MVP, I'm gonna have to agree with Brody and McCaffrey, simply because I think he is the most valuable player. When you look based off team wise, I think he means the most, is the most valuable to his team out of everybody else, and I think Russell's right on his heels, just because what he's doing this year is incredible. I mean, like Brody said, he always has good years. I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So, but I just think I think McCaffrey's outplaying him just a little bit in that race. I would put Rodgers up there, but Rodgers has a lot more offensive weapons than those two dudes have. So that's the reason I have them above him. Defensive Player of the Year, I switched to Khalil Mack simply because I think he's forgotten. And looking up just what he's done this season, still incredible. He actually had him and Aaron Donald are tied for the odds to win at the current moment. I think him by himself has really helped the Bears defense. Just giving him confidence, knowing that he's the guy delivering the pressure and causing mayhem in the backfield, which gives their safeties and DBs, chances to beat ball hawks. So I think Khalil Mack's gonna win Defensive Player of the Year. In my opinion, Offensive Player of the Year, actually, it was a little bit tough. I had McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, and Dalvin Cook, but I went with McCaffrey just because he's versatile. He can do, he can run, and he can catch out of the backfield, and he's really good in the open. He's hard to tackle, so I mean, and the stats that he's putting up this year, next level. He's really doing it all. He really doesn't have much health at the quarterback position, and the receivers for the Panthers are, I mean, they don't necessarily have that go-to receiver. So I think McCaffrey, as long as he continues to do what he's doing, he has a chance to set his own or break his own single season total yards from scrimmage record, and he has a chance to crush it. So, I mean, it's hard not to give the dude that award. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. I think what he's doing at the Raiders, he's actually, let me see if I can pull that up again. I think he was like top 5 in rushing so far this year. Let me pull this up real quick. He's 6th. My bad. Okay, so he's 6th in rushing as a rookie. So he's doing good. He's fitting in nicely in that John Gruden offense. So that's good to see. And Defensive Rookie Year goes to Nick Bosa. Not a whole lot of competition at this moment. And Coach of the Year, I think there's no argument there either. Kyle Shanahan has really flipped that 49ers team around completely. What they've been able to accomplish versus what they were last year and even the year before that. It's been nice having Jimmy G back. Definitely helps. And then Comeback Player of the Year, I'm gonna go with Dalvin Cook. Reason being is because he was hurt last season, tore the ACL, and he is currently leading the league in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. So he's 3rd in yards per game behind Chubb and McCaffrey. So he's been an absolute unit on the field. I mean, Kirk Cousins being able to have Dalvin Cook in the background just opens up the passing game, and I think that's why Kirk's having such a good year, because the defense has to focus on Dalvin and what he's doing. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry. That's the first down every other handoff. So defense got to focus in on that, and then what's so scary about that offense is that Kirk Cousins, is a good quarterback, and he has Diggs and Thielen, Irv Smith Jr., Kyle Rudolph at his disposal, passing the ball. So you got to be you got to be very smart on defense when you're playing that offense. And I just think what Dalvin's doing after coming off of injury is insane. So I think Dalvin has a chance to be comeback player of the year in my eyes. So that's what I got for that.
All right.
Well,
Welcome back.
there is an update. This was at. We have some breaking news about 30 minutes ago, so it's not really breaking news, but it's close
Breaking
enough.
news.
Breaking
Dun-dun-dun,
news.
dun-dun-dun.
Ken Weisenhunt is out as the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers. They fired him.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, I don't know if it was play calling or not, but the Chargers offense was definitely
So
Slacking.
I've
slacking
got
big
the
time.
stats here for their offense.
Okay, let's hear it.
According to the article, the offense as a whole has struggled, ranking 23rd in points per game at 19.6, 28th in yards per rush at 3.48, tied for 23rd in turnovers at 13, and 31st in red zone scoring percentage at 70.4. They are the only team in the Super Bowl era since 1966 to rush for fewer than 40 yards in 4 straight games, which is all 4 since Melvin Gordon returned.
Jeez. Yeah, definitely got to fire him.
Yeah.
That's
Get
an
some new
offensive-
blood in there.
Yeah, that's an offense again. I mean, Philip Rivers, granted he's getting older, but he's still a great QB. And I mean, Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler, and then you have Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen. That offense.
We've got a great offense. There should be no reason
Yeah,
why
you
they
should be-
shouldn't move the ball.
Should be top 10 offense.
It very well
Mhm.
could be play calling, so it'll be interesting to see who's calling the
Who-
plays until they
yeah.
can, find the right guy. They haven't signed anybody yet. I assume they just have an interim. Or signed,
Yeah, probably like
anybody.
a wide receiver coach, probably going to be an intern or something.
Yeah, that offense
Uh.
definitely should be a lot more explosive than what it is. Granted, Keenan Allen's been hurt here and there, so that doesn't help. But
Yeah.
that's interesting. I mean, hopefully this will help turn it around. I mean, they definitely have been slacking, like Chris said. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, an update on the Steelers game. It's 17-14 with 12 minutes left in the fourth. Steelers right now are about to either score because they're about on the
4.
4-yard line.
so it's about
So-
to be what 24-10,
Yeah.
14.
14.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
14.
So the Dolphins about to choke away their.
Well, there's a
chances of
flag
first
just
down.
now thrown, but
Man,
Yep.
man.
All right. We got anything else that we want to talk about, guys?
yeah, subscribe.
Okay.
That's what we're begging. Subscribe.
Jacob,
I
have
mean-
our numbers came down?
Huh?
Have our numbers came down on the not subscribed people that watch?
Nope, that's still there. We've ran into a little bit of a problem of our viewers that we have about 57% of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed, and that's
It
okay.
takes 1 second, guys. Come on.
It just
Yeah, it takes
1
5
second.
seconds. We'll give you 5 seconds right now to subscribe.
Yeah, we could really use it. Just help us out. Chris is not. He's doing. Oh, nice.
All right,
Okay,
you
I was
should be
really worried that
subscribed.
Okay.
really worried that he wouldn't get down to
I was
one.
giving him an extra second.
But
All right.
But yeah, make sure you subscribe. We appreciate it. You dizzy, Chris?
No.
No. Well,
What?
just subscribe, guys. Leave us a comment. Drop a like. Turn on that
Tell us
notification
how we
bell.
did.
We really appreciate it. We're new to this. We're just doing this for fun. So hopefully you guys enjoy. But that's pretty much all I got.
Well, that does it for us on this episode, ladies and gentlemen. As they said, subscribe, drop us a like, leave us a comment, tell us how we did, tell us your thoughts on the MVP, all the player of the years, who your top 6 teams are. You can base it on playoffs. We didn't really base it on playoffs. We just kind of went with who we thought the top 6 were. But anyway, guys, that that wraps it up for us here tonight. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Peace.